I'm David, and I just started this channel. I'm still a homesteader, and let me begin by saying I'm not a homesteader. I'm not a prepper. I hadn't ever done anything like this in my whole life. And what got me started with this was about a year and a half ago. With this administration we have in office now, and I don't want to get political on my channel or anything, but I just started noticing whenever I go to the grocery store or something, shelves are all empty, and it just didn't look too bright on the horizon. So I got to thinking, maybe it might not be too bad of an idea for me to start getting a little bit more prepared. So that's what I decided to start doing. And I started out with buying up all kind of dry goods, beans, peas, rice, stuff that a normal prepper would start hoarding up. But I got to thinking, well, if you're storing all this stuff, it ain't going to be long before at some point you're going to have rats or something. So I decided, well, maybe it isn't too bad of an idea to start canning. So I started canning some of the beans and the peas, and learned how to pressure can. I got stew beef, ham, chicken. I've got all kind of different things canned up. And I never planned on growing a garden. I just thought, that's way too much work to try to grow a garden. So that was out of the question for me. Well, then, over the winter this past year, the garden didn't really look so bad. So I cleared off a little bit of property that I had, and I was going to start out. I started out with a plot that was about 40 feet wide and about 100 feet long. And at one end of it, it was only about 25 feet wide. I got to looking, got to reading, and everything, all the information that I got was when you start out, you don't want to start out too big. Because what will happen, if you try and start too big, you'll end up getting discouraged and you'll quit with it. Well, out of all of that 100-foot long piece that I had there, I only ended up planting a 30-foot wide by 20-foot long garden plot. I did 10 rows, 3 feet apart. I did some corn, which wasn't that successful. I did some purple hull peas, and they're turning out pretty good. I did some contender bush beans. They turned out really well. I've got a few tomato plants. I've got some bell peppers planted, and I'm about to plant some other stuff. But anyhow, I just figured out that canning and gardening go hand in hand. Well, ever since I bought this property 17, 18 years ago, or moved here, I've had the property for a little over 20 years, a little over 4 acres. But I had always wanted a Kubota tractor, but I just didn't have enough use to justify spending that much money on it. And then whenever I decided to do a garden, I thought, well, now you'll have enough use for a Kubota tractor. And then I got to thinking, well, if I go and spend $30,000 on a tractor, and then I do this garden for one season, and I decide, well, this is too much work. I don't want to do this. It's just too much. And then I quit with the garden. Now I'm stuck with a $500 a month payment for the next 5 years. So obviously I didn't want to do that. But what I did do, just to try this out. Now, if I like the garden, it seems like I am enjoying the gardening quite a bit. Uh, then as long as I know I'm going to do it, it doesn't bother me to buy a tractor. I just didn't want to spend that much and then not know if that's what I really wanted to do. So I think I'm going to probably stick with it. But in the meantime, I got this little thing here, and I didn't give but $100 for this thing. The transaxle was bad in it. The people that had it said it was going to cost $800 or $900, something like that, to get it fixed. So I ended up getting it for $100, and it's like brand new. So I bought another machine, a Husqvarna, with a 20 horse Kohler. This is a 20 horse rig. Took the transaxle out of it. The engine was locked up in the Husqvarna, so I'm pretty sure the transaxle worked. So I swapped the transaxle, and now the thing, it runs great. I put a sleeve hitch on it. I've got disc hairs on it right now. I've got a Brindley cultivator. My neighbor over here, he had a old front tine tiller that he was throwing out. I ended up with it. The engine was locked up on it. That's my next project. That's why this thing's sitting up on blocks here. I'm trying to get the depth figured. I bought a Harbor Freight engine that I'm going to replace on the front tine tiller. And I'm going to be removing the handles, turning the tiller around backwards, and mounting it up to this. So I'll be able to, it'll be a reverse time tiller whenever it's done. And I'm just not done with it yet. I'm still working on that project. But I don't have a whole lot tied up in this, and it's working, doing the job, doing the trick. I did buy a rear tine tiller. Once I got going, I realized that the disc hairs by themselves, just stand alone, they're just not enough. I needed a tiller, so I went and bought a tiller. And I got a I got a double wheel hoe from Haas Tools. Bought a lot of stuff from Haas Tools. Those are good people to work with. I got drip irrigation from them. Fertilizer injector. Bought some different kinds of fertilizer. I'll be buying stuff from them again in the future. But the point I was trying to make was getting into the gardening. I just didn't want to spend an arm and a leg and decided I didn't want to do it. So I took the small, less expensive route and doing it this way. And at some point I'll probably go with a bigger tractor. But I just wanted to come on here for a few minutes and explain who I was. And I don't know if I said this before or not, but I'm 56 years old. My name's David, and I've never homesteaded, prepped, gardened. First garden I planted was this one. Never done any of that before in my life. 56 years old. I don't have a green thumb. It took me 5 years to get the grass to grow around here. As you can see from looking behind me, even it ain't growing that well. But I'm gonna try this whole thing, not only the canning, the gardening, but the YouTube, and just see how I like it. And I hope that all of my viewers will get some enjoyment and maybe even some information, some knowledge. Maybe you can learn from some of my experiences, or maybe you can see some of the things that I've done, like with this, and decide for yourself, well, it really doesn't take a whole lot to do this, to garden, to plant stuff, grow your own stuff. And as I had already said, I was never planning on gardening, but the gardening and the canning go hand in hand. And I tell you, once I start doing that canning, I don't know about it. I can't speak for everybody, but that canning is addictive to me. I just want to can all kind of stuff now. And I've only been canning for about 8 months. And it's just, I mean, I love it. So far, I love the garden. Best tasting stuff I've ever eaten came out of that garden a month or so ago. And can't wait to see what all it has in store. But I just want to thank anyone that took the time to watch this and wanted to explain where I'm going with my channel, what I'm doing, what made me decide to do this, and just have a good life, and enjoy things. So I'll go ahead and sign off now, and I'll post some videos whenever I get some more footage, and we'll go from there. And I appreciate it. Y'all have a good day.